Welcome to this webinar, first webinar of this autumn to the advanced educational series. But yeah, let's get started. So mastering internal load monitoring for easy, fast, and reliable data collection. Shortly about myself. So I'm working here at First Beat as customer success manager, making sure with my team that our customers get the most out of their data, not just collecting data, but making sure that they can take it into use in their daily work and make sure that the data collection process, which we are talking about today, is reliable and fast. And my background is in sport physiology from the University of Jyväskylä, where also the headquarter of our company is. On today's agenda, we have the effects of poor data quality, key considerations for internal load, and best practices for making data collection easy and reliable. Let's first start with the effects of poor data quality. Let's start with what is poor data quality? What is measurement error? What is artifact? So those are irregular spikes or drops in heart rate readings, and those will be always present in heart rate monitoring. These are there because there's movement, there's body motion, there are muscle contractions, or if the chest strap is loose or the optical sensor is not snug on the skin. With some heart rate providers, measurement error can also be to the missing Bluetooth advertising package, as no internal memory is used to store the data directly on the measurement device. And it's a feature of Bluetooth. And also Firstbeat was relying on a system like that 5 years ago. So this means that we have the heart rate measuring device and it's sending the heart rate data to some other device, which is then storing the data. But when talking about team sports, there are a lot of people on the field, and the bodies are blocking the Bluetooth signal. And as the Bluetooth signal is not coming to the receiving device, heart rates are missed and there's error in the data. So this can happen with some heart rate providers. What is also good to note is that you can hide error by averaging the data. But if you are averaging the data, you miss the needed accuracy for confident decision making. And it could be that you have a look at the heart rate graph. It looks perfect. It seems like there's no error, but the data is just averaged, and then you can hide the measurement errors in a way. The field of heart rate monitoring provides a wide range of devices and service providers, ranging from consumer products to lab-grade analysis, and you as a professional should make sure that you can trust the data you work with. Then let's look at the why data quality is so important. So in this table, we have presented the measurement error, what kind of impact it has on the analysis results. And this data is from elite football training sessions. On the left side, we have the artifact percentage. On the left side, we have the artifact percentage. And then on the right side, we have data quality classification. And then we have the difference, the percentual difference to different metrics on the analysis results. So when we start from the bottom, we are comparing good data to good data. So the difference, of course, is 0%. But when we then go up on the scale on the graph, we see that, for example, here on 25 to 35% range, which is quite normal to some heart rate providers, or in some cases, there's already quite significant error or difference in the analysis results because of measurement error. When we start to look at the heart rate average, you see that the differences in the analysis results are not that big. So with 25 to 35% measurement error, you get a difference of 3 to 5% compared to good data quality. And heart rate average is basically not reacting that much to bad quality data. Then with the training effects, we see a bit bigger differences, so ranging from 9% to 13%. And with TRIMP, we see then differences from 16 to 20%. And of course here, why are these values always lower? It's because when they are missing heartbeats, you miss those spikes, you miss those high heart rate recordings, and the data can't really know that at which level the heart rate was at that time point. So already here we see quite big differences. So the next, we have a look at the time in different heart rate zones. So here again, we are looking at the 25 to 35% range. It could be any range that's interesting for you that you want to have a look at, but the idea is the same. So when we go from zone 1 to zone 2, the differences increases, and in zone 5 we have huge differences between good quality data and bad quality data analysis results. And here is my question to you, that how much measurement error you accept in strength training when measuring the lifted weight, and how accurate the plates have to be in a way. So I have a poll for you. I will just start it so you can answer the question. So now everybody of you should have a question on your screen. How precise do you expect the loaded weight to be? For example, within 0.5 kilograms. Is it plus minus 30%, plus minus 10%, or plus minus 1%? So if you have a plate, let's say 10 kilograms, should it be 13 kilograms, or could it be 11 kilograms, or could it be 10.1 kilograms? I will just wait a couple more seconds. Okay, I will end the poll. Yeah, so here we got the results. And no one of you answered the first option, so 30%, that is what I expected. We have a quite high number here in the 10% error range. So it would mean that you have a plate with 10 kilograms and you accept that it could be 9 or 11 kilograms. That's a quite high error margin, and as expected, the majority of you, 59%, said that plus minus 1% should be the accepted range. So I'm asking you, why would you compromise so much on accuracy with internal load? Why don't you target the same accuracy with internal load as you do in strength training in the gym? Let's have a look on how data quality looks in practice, how it looks on a single measurement. So here we have an example of a very good quality data. So here we have 1% of measurement error, and you can nicely see here the first period, second period, and third period. So you see here the heart rate graph in black, and then you have the artifact percentage here in gray. So there's nearly none measurement error in this measurement. At the end of the measurement, you can see that the artifact percentage goes drastically up at the very beginning to 70% to 100%, because the athlete takes the sensor off and the sensor is not detecting the heart rate anymore. So therefore there's high artifact. How does the data looks in raw? So here on the lower chart, we have the RR interval length in milliseconds. So RR intervals is the time between consecutive heartbeats. And in blue, we have the raw data, and you can see some spikes here and there, which will be always present in heart rate monitoring, but that's quite low amount. So as I said, this is good quality data, and then you see the artifact corrected data in orange. Then we have the same kind of graphs for 30% of measurement error. So here in black, you see the heart rate curve, which is basically nothing at the very beginning. Then at 10 minutes, we have some data. And from 20 minutes to 30 minutes, we don't have data, very high measurement error as seen here in gray. Then we have some data, and then we have some moderate data. You can see the heart rate reactions on the chart, but still we have a lot of measurement error. And the same can be, of course, seen then in the raw data. So here you see in blue the raw data with a lot of spikes. They are not the same, the heart rate readings. They are measurements of over RR interval lengths over 1000 milliseconds, which is a long time to be a real heart rate in a way. And then again in orange you see the artifact corrected heart rate. So make sure here that you know what your data looks like. Make sure that you have the data quality expression, the data quality indication to make right conclusions about the data. So here we can see that if you have 30% measurement error, the data looks like this, and you can't really coach with this kind of data. Let's move a bit more to the practical side, how to make data collection easy, fast, and reliable, how to make the perfect match between usability and reliability. First, we are comparing EGG data versus optical sensor data. And the optical sensor is in red, EGG in gold, and on the y-axis you have the heart rate. And you can see here that the optical data always reacts a bit slower in every scenario here on the heart rate graph. And it's missing the tops from these heart rate readings. And that's exactly the problem with optical heart rate data. They underestimate the time in high intensity zone significantly and overestimate the time spent in mid zones. So when you are choosing an optical heart rate provider and looking at the reliability of the device, have a look at the validation of the study, have a look who has sponsored it, what's the end of the study, so how many subjects, is time in high intensity zone included. In most optical sensor studies, they are tested in resting conditions and are team sports with high intensity actions included in the study. So if you check those, if everything's good after that, you should be good to go. We continue with EGG collection because that's the most reliable way of collecting data. We have the option to use the traditional heart rate strap or then a heart rate vest, which was introduced this summer. Now I'm going to show you the difference of strap and vest, how they differ in practice in terms of data quality. So here we have a measurement with 3% error, which was done with the strap. And here you can see really good data quality, the whole measurement period, but at the very end, we see there's some measurement error, artifact percentage goes up, but what is good to note, not all measurement error is critical. So in this case, we are missing some data from the very end of the training. So you can see, for example, here, this is not a real heart rate movement. Heart rate doesn't jump that quickly high. So you will have a gradual build up with the heart rate. So this is not real. You won't miss a lot of data. But for example, when we have here high measurement error, when we are not training, doesn't really make a difference. So in some cases, there can be bad data at the beginning of the measurement, bad data at the end of the measurement when the players are in the locker room taking the sensor off or doing whatever. So it doesn't matter. So that's also good to note that not all measurement error is critical, but of course, when we are training, we want to the data quality to be as good as possible. Then with the West, the same thing. So same kind of graph. Here we have a little bit higher measurement error, but still we can see the heart rate graph is very sharp. We can see the heart rate reactions. Here we have 5% measurement error, which is a bit higher, but still on an acceptable level. What is good to note, Firstbeat is the only company that shows measurement error openly, so you really know if you can trust the data, if there's averaging done, if this is some data that you shouldn't work with, you shouldn't make conclusions about. That's communicated live when you are doing the measurement in the coach app, both download, and then you have the option to see it in the cloud by opening the measurement list, or even the option to have a second-by-second view at the data quality here in the new reporting tool. I'm very happy to share this slide. So we have superior accuracy in field conditions, and we have managed to drop the measurement error constantly down, and now in this year it's only 3% as a median of all field measurements done with our sensor. And this is due to constant improvement on sensor functionalities and RR interval detection algorithms. So if you want to have good quality data, what you probably want, as you saw how this measurement error affects the analysis results, especially with high intensity training, you should make sure that the data quality is good. And yeah, here we have our numbers on that. Then let's move on again to a bit more practical part. When you are collecting data, choose the type of hardware that fits your goals. First, we have the strap, which is in a way the golden standard in team sports. It has the best accuracy. After the use, you have the simple rinse it under running water, but the downside of using a strap is that it can slip to the stomach, as we, for example, saw then here that at the end of the measurement test, some bad data. So this could be that the sensor has slipped a bit down, and therefore there's bad data. So that's the downside, that it can happen. It can happen with the strap in battles or in high intensity actions with a lot of movement. Where you should use it, pro use, if you are doing any kind of benchmarking, if you want to exactly analyze your data, create reference values from your data, use the strap, and of course then in research. Then there's the option to use a heart rate vest. It always stays in place, and it has an easy GPS integration. So in the vest itself, we have on the back side where you can place the GPS port, and the sensor is attached to the back. So it's not, for example, in soccer, football, it's not hindering to take the ball with the chest, or in ice hockey, goaltenders don't want to maybe use the strap as it hurts when they get the puck to it. So yeah, that's the vest. What are the downsides of the vest? It has lower data quality. So when you are using a heart rate vest, make sure that you have the data quality indication in hand, and you have to wash it after every use, just simply because of hygiene reasons. Use it in situation where the use of strap is not comfortable to use the strap, for example, or the players don't want to use the strap. They feel the strap gives them more pressure on the chest, but with the chest, the pressure is more aligned to the body, and it's actually super comfortable. Or in games where you want to make sure that the strap is not falling down. And then we have the optical sensor, which is convenient. It's useful for sleep and recovery monitoring, but it's unreliable in heat and team sports. Where you can use it, sleep, casual monitoring, and lifestyle monitoring. Let me explain this same thing in plain English. So what is the best data collection method? Depends on your goal. And the strap is not always the best in every scenario. If you have a professional athlete group and can define the method then strap is absolutely the best option. If you want benchmark data for the season and to measure a couple of games, how hard are the hardest periods and how do we prepare the athletes for those, use the strap. If you want to measure game data but the athletes feel distracted by the sensor, use the vest. If you want reliable HRV data in 3 minutes, you can use either method. Since you are not moving, both heart rates are reliable. And I forgot to say that why the vest has a worse data quality than the strap is because with the vest you will have more movement-based artifact because of your chest muscles are moving, back muscles are moving, trapezius muscles are moving, and those are all generating measurement error as the vest is moving with the muscles. If athletes don't want to wear the strap, but you still want to support their development and performance with physiological data, use the vest. So this, for example, in normal training, if that's the situation, then you can use the vest also there. But our general guideline is that use the strap everywhere you can. Then in games, for example, use the vest. Or if it feels like that the athletes don't want to use the strap, then you can go directly with the vest. The data quality is acceptable enough to get good analysis results with the vest. And if you want to collect sleep data conveniently, use an optical sensor. Then I want to present you a case study where we measured or wanted to quantify the effect of the maximum heart rate to the analysis results. And in internal load parameters, they are relative measures where heart rate max is used as a reference point to calculate the intensity and load accumulation. Therefore, heart rate max is the most crucial parameter in analyzing internal intensity and load. And the users in our platform can set the heart rate max to the player's background profiles. If the value is not known, the system use typically age predicted value, which is 210 minus 0.7 times age. So that's quite normal. In this case study of a soccer team with 14 subjects, we respectively demonstrated what are the impacts of erroneous heart rate max to the internal load analysis. Here we have presented the age predicted, how much it differs, the age predicted versus actually the measured heart rate max. So we have player number 5, where the measured heart rate max was actually 6 beats lower than the age predicted. And then we have player number 3, where the measured heart rate max was actually 11 beats higher than the age predicted. Let's have a look on how these affect on the analysis results. Let's first have a look at the player number 3. So real max heart rate. Real max heart rate is 11 beats higher than the predicted. So you can clearly already see on the heart rate graph the differences. And then in a numeric format, we have 12 minutes in high intensity zone versus 2 minutes, trimp 140 against 116, and training effect aerobic 3.7 versus 3.3. So again, here, as with the measurement error, the differences are bigger in high intensity zone metric than in any other metric. Then when we are looking at the player number 5, real max heart rate 6 beats lower than predicted, time in high intensity zone 2 minutes versus 6.5 minutes, trimp 120 against 130, aerobic training effect 3.2 against 3.3. So here you can really see that it has a huge effect, especially on the high intensity minutes. What's the conclusion about the study? Too highly set heart rate max values underestimate the load and intensity, which may lead to false interpretation. So you are pushing the player too hard because of that. If it's too low, you will overestimate the load and intensity, and possibly the athletes are not getting the needed stimuli from the training sessions. And as said, the biggest difference is in high intensity zones, where there are clear thresholds between clear cut point between zones. First bit has a heart rate max detection logic, which will automatically adjust the heart rate max. And if a new max heart rate is detected, it will suggest the user to update these values. What are our recommendations based on that? It's always preferred to use the measured heart rate max. If you really know it, then use the measured heart rate max. Then you have instantly the right analysis results. If you don't know it, set it rather too low than too high, because the system will automatically always update it upwards if a new max heart rate is detected. But it can't know if you have set it too high. It guesses that or thinks that you are only training on moderate zones and not reaching actually your max heart rate. So rather too low than too high. Let's have a short look on the heart rate max update logic itself. So first we have the collected heart rate data, the raw data. Then we do artifact correction to it. We do peak filtering and heart rate max detection criteria. So the heart rate max has to be a certain, or the peak heart rate has to be a certain time on a high level to be considered a reliable maximal heart rate. So no erroneous spikes are, for example, detected as new max heart rates. If the peak heart rate is higher than the current heart rate max, it will automatically update the value and the user can accept it. So the training data is analyzed directly with the new max heart rate, and the new max heart rate is applied for all the new measurements. But there's the option also to decline the automatic update and continue with the old heart rate max. If there are, for example, cases that there's arrhythmia and the heart rate spikes to 230, for example, or 220, whatever, so you can decline if you want it. So let's make a summary about the data quality and key considerations with internal data monitoring. We had the example with bad quality data, how it affects, especially on high intensity zone, and how the maximum heart rate affects the analysis results. If you have both of these wrong, it doesn't really make sense to use the data. You will end up more or less with useless data. If you have high measurement error, you really don't know what's the max heart rate of the athlete. You can't really make many conclusions about the data. What are the best practices for internal load data collection? So I have drafted here two options. The first option is don't do anything. So the sensor starts recording automatically once the heart rate is detected trustfully. It stores the heart rate data in the internal memory of the sensor. And when the athlete takes the sensor off, it stops the recording automatically when it's not detecting the heart rate anymore. Then the coach app starts the automatic download process once it has recognized that the sensor is not recording anymore. There's a measurement in the memory of the sensor. It starts the download process, and once the data is downloaded, it automatically uploads the data to the cloud. And from the cloud, athletes and then coaches will receive the automatic reports. So this is the option if you don't have so much time to deal with the data collection. Just let the athletes wear the sensor, put the iPad in the locker room, activate automatic data download, and you get the data without doing anything. Second option is to give a bit more time for the data collection. Here are the best practices for internal training load data collection. So in the preparation phase, you want to make sure that you label the sensor and slots with the initials plus number. So it's as easy as possible for you to know that which player this sensor belongs to, from which player the sensor is missing, for example. And in the preparation phase, you check that all profile information is correct, especially the heart rate max, but also the other parameters. Before the training, moisten the strap or the electrodes on the strap and make sure that the athletes are wearing the strap/vest correctly and the sensor is right way around. During the training, when you want to get the most out of the data, you should do sub-maximal fitness test as part of the standardized warm-up, just 4 minutes, for example. They do the warm-up as normally, but you just collect the data from it. And then, of course, creating labs in live to get instant analysis, and they save time in post-analysis. So, for example, you are clipping labs for small-sided games for different drills, and then you can analyze those, compare the intensity of those to each other, and for example, then the games. And then, of course, monitor and adjust training based on the results to ensure that all players get the wanted stimuli. After the training, save session and give context to the session, for example, game day -4. And this gives you the option then to compare the sessions with the same title to each other. So, for example, all game day -4 sessions to each other to see that how is our normal game day -4 day looking, how much load are we accumulating, what kind of training effects, how much time we have in high intensity zones on game day -4, and then we of course can compare it to game day -1, game day -2, for example, and how these compare to the match itself. And of course then download data manually so you get it right away. Then let's make a summary of this whole presentation. So when you are doing heart rate monitoring, you want to start with the base, with the accuracy of internal load data. So EGG-based RR interval detection should be there, artifact correction, data quality indication, automatic max heart rate detection, and also internal memory is one of the crucial parameters to be able to collect data anywhere and you don't miss data because of missing Bluetooth advertising package. Then we have the ease of internal load data collection, not just accuracy, but it has to be easy to use. So automatic start and stop, automatic download and upload, automatic reports, real-time analytics, and one big thing is also dual Bluetooth. If you are, for example, using a GPS system, for example, the sensor is able to connect to the First Beat Sports Coach app and to a GPS system. Then we come to the third level, which is the insightful internal load and recovery analysis. To get most out of the heart rate data, we are just not talking about time in different zones, but trim, acute load, chronic load, training effect, maximal intensity periods are crucial to define the maximal intensities of a game, of training, to see what kind of intensities within what kind of time periods the athletes are reaching. What are the demands, game demands? Are we matching those game demands in training? To assess the performance, to assess the recovery, heart rate recovery, automatic calculation and sub-maximal fitness testing. And then the fifth part of this level is, of course, then the recovery part, heart rate variability, and sleep data collection. Lastly, on the fourth level, when we have built up the base, we have the contextualization layer where we have the comparison with similar sessions. We have the positional comparison, individuals and teams. Then we have sport-specific analysis. Then we have the movement efficiency, which is external divided by the internal load, and then customized group comparison. And building up the base from the accuracy of the data collection, the ease of data collection, and then the insightful analysis and the contextualization layer, we end up with really actionable and trustful indicators for your performance monitoring. Good. So our next webinar will be with the pro scientists Dr. Sean McLaren, Martin Boucher, and Jill Shushan about the monitoring adaptations using heart rate responses to submaximal exercise on the 14th and 30th of October. Highly recommended. Please join. This is a free webinar with excellent speakers. Sign up. I think you will get in the thanks email meeting link or webinar link, registration link to that. So please sign up there. It will be a very good webinar. I thank you at this point. If you want to have a look at my thoughts, I'm sharing something about my work, about my customer experience, or my experience with customers when we are talking how they use the system, how they can make the best out of their data on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Please connect with me there. And thanks and see you soon. Bye.